Hey guys, welcome to episode 54 of the Strength System podcast. This is Varun here as always, and I'm joined by Prashanti today,
Hi guys.
back after a few episodes. So, we're going to talk about pull ups today. If you've been looking at our social media, which you hopefully have, you've seen our Road to Your First Pull Up program, which we've been putting out. It's free, so if you haven't, please check that out. But we wanted to discuss why we like pull ups so much a little bit further, right? And also, towards the end, we'll get to talking about how to train the chin up and or pull up and why we choose the exercises that we do. So let's start with like why we like the pull up so much. Maybe why do you like the pull up?
I think it's one of those exercises that just two things. It makes my back look really hot, but also it makes me feel so capable. I think it's what translates most to the physical autonomy, confidence thing that women need to do. I mean, women can expect from lifting.
Yeah, I mean it definitely has like a lot of like functional carryover also. I mean, if you ever watch the climax of any trashy adventure movie,
Or the
You-
intro to Kabali if you watch Rajnikant movies.
yeah, you have to know how to do a pull up in order to be successful. So there's that. But more like seriously also it works. I think body parts that are sometimes neglected with conventional training, right? So obviously you need a strong grip. You need to hold your body weight in space and hold it there for some time. You need strong pulling muscles, your lats, all the smaller muscles of your upper back, which again, if you just do a conventional like bro split, you probably don't even train very much. So hits a lot of muscles that we don't normally use. And what else?
I think it's also a cool exercise to get to, irrespective of what your goals are, right? So if your goal is fat loss, then you'll know that when you're starting to lose fat and not weight, but you're losing fat and you're still retaining some amounts of muscle, then a body weight exercise is a good way to ensure you're progressing. So pull-ups, push-ups are great examples to work towards if your goal is fat loss. If your goal is building muscle, again, like you said, there is no better exercise to build forearm, bicep, and upper back lat muscle. And if your goal is force production because you're an athlete, if you're like a thrower, sprinter, you need those lats to work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I actually think they're an underrated strength exercise as well, right? So people think the only way I can get better at pull-ups is doing more and more reps, but you can actually load them up just like any other strength exercise and train them in sets of 5 and 3 and 1. So
heavy pull-up singles are like so much fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing's more badass than hanging like a few heavy plates and then doing a few reps.
Right.
So pull-ups have this kind of like mythos around them, right? They have this air of so few people can really attain them. Do you remember when you first did your like first pull-up?
Vividly. I think there's a video on YouTube. Please don't go look it up. But I think I had just
Link in
started.
description.
I think I had just started training with kettlebells, and this was 2012. And I think I was very lucky with the pull-up because my body weight was 41, 42 kilos. So obviously, it's easier for you to get a pull-up if you have a very low body weight and some amount of strength. How I trained for the pull-up will definitely not work for anybody else because all I did to get better at the pull-up was try to do the pull-up over and over again. Now, after almost 10 years of being in the industry, I know that's not going to work for anybody.
Yeah. If it was as easy, just walk up to the bar, pull yourself up.
That's how
Yeah.
I used to coach it because that's how it worked for me. But yeah, clearly that's not smart.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have kind of similar story. I mean, I was pretty much most of my childhood I was fat, so I couldn't do pull-ups. I think one of my like most traumatic childhood memories is I don't remember where, but there were some monkey bars, and like a friend could obviously like monkey
Traverse
his
through
way
it.
through them,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even like hang on to the bars without losing my grip. So I think the first time I got a pull-up was probably 2013 when I was about age 22. So pretty recently, like 7, 8 years back only.
Yeah, I think I was around that same age too.
Yeah. So again, no like secret sauce. I just like was training a little bit. I found like a ledge and just cheated a little bit at first, and then eventually got it strictly. Not the most like scientific or applicable way for everyone, but yeah, it's still interesting.
So now that we know the science behind getting the first pull-up, I think it's fair to say that it's not gender or age restricted, right? Like a lot of the times, pull-ups are not taught to women because we think women can't do pull-ups. We don't have as much upper body muscle as men do.
Yeah.
Or we think it's not some skill that you can acquire as a slightly older person. But at the gym, we've had so many older men and women get their first pull-up.
Yeah. I think there was this New York Times piece that went viral several years back now. Feels like only a few years back. I think it was provocatively titled "Why Women Can't Do Pull-Ups," and it basically said some of the reasons that you outlined, right? That there's differences in how muscle mass is distributed. Men have more testosterone, so they have more muscle generally. Blah blah blah. But I mean, anybody who's even look at athletics, right? There are plenty of sports in which there are really strong women. Obviously, gymnastics. I'm sure they can crack on like 15, 20 pull-ups if they had to. So it's not that women can't do pull-ups, it's probably like harder. And again, there's so many other factors that are more important than gender, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, age, training history, how much muscle mass you're carrying, all of those are really much more important. So
Yeah, I think if you look back at the New York Times article and applied the same stats to a group of untrained men, you might find that similarly men who don't have any training history will have the same amounts of difficulty getting to their first pull-up.
that's definitely true. So in terms of like prerequisites, right? So for our program, the pull-up program, we've recommended that you should be able to do about 20 push-ups if you're a guy and maybe about 10 push-ups if you're a woman. Have you generally, I mean, that's it. I think that's something we've seen, right? That you need a certain amount of strength before you can really earn the right to start working on a pull-up or have a realistic shot at it. Why do you think that is?
I think the push-up is a great standard for the pull-up because it has the same attributes, a lot of the attributes that the pull-up requires. Obviously upper body strength, even though it's not the same muscles, but the ability to generate a certain amount of force or maintain a certain amount of tension that can be established on the push-up can be very promising for a pull-up. If we often see, especially women who can't do too many push-ups, it's because they've still not figured out how to generate full body tension. And that full body tension is very important for a pull-up, I think.
Definitely. So, how do we train?
Varun, do we want to quickly talk about what is the difference between pull-up, chin-up, neutral grip, pull-up?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those pointless things which people really work themselves up into a steam over. But I mean, I think the convention we use is that a pull-up is when your palms are facing away from you, so your pronated grip. A chin-up is when your palms are facing towards you, and a neutral grip is when your palms face each other.
And
pull,
what are what is, other than the fact that these grips are different, what about muscles involved? What about, some people say, oh, I can't do pull-ups because it's bad for my elbows. Can we talk about that? Like bad for my elbows, bad for my shoulders? Where do you think these misconceptions come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably just from maybe doing pull-ups when you're not prepared for them, or maybe just getting very excited and doing too many too soon. So, sure, your elbows, your shoulders, all those joints are involved and there is some stress on them when you do a pull-up. But again, if you have prepared yourself adequately, you are able to generate tension like Prashanti said, and you are smart and sensible about spacing out your volume and how much time you devote to the pull-up throughout the week, you really shouldn't run into these issues. I think that's where more than a problem with the pull-up itself, it's with how you are choosing to train it. More than anything.
Which I think segues beautifully into our program because if people are why are we doing things that are not the pull-up when this is a pull-up program? I'm sure people would have expected to do jumping pull-ups, pull-up negatives and things like that right from the start, but we are having them do a hollow hold, an inverted row and an active hang. So should we talk about why doing more pull-ups is not the best way to get to a pull-up?
I think that's a valid concern, right? That you want me to get better at something, shouldn't I be doing more of that exact thing? But from what we've seen is the pull-up is a really hard movement to train if you can currently do zero, right? So you certainly can try jumping pull-ups and all of that, but odds are you will not be able to generate enough tension and actually successfully hit the positions that you need to in order for it to translate to doing a full pull-up / chin-up. So let's maybe talk through each of those movements you mentioned one by one, right? So I'll do the first one, the hollow hold. So the hollow hold is a great way to mimic the pull-up position. the position of your torso, of your rib cage, of your legs that you want on a pull-up, but practice it in an easier environment on the ground. Right? So in a hollow hold, which you can look at our post from a few days back on social media, but essentially you want to be generating maximum tension on this. So I'm not just hanging out there. I'm pushing my hands into each other, pushing my legs into each other, and it should be a really hard ab exercise. So you're holding it for about 15 to 20 seconds, just trying to squeeze everything and then relaxing. So it's a great way to mimic the body positions you need in the pull-up and to generate tension.
Yeah, and I think it's the same for the inverted row, right? Because you are using the same positions, the same muscles to drive yourself up to an object, except you're doing it with your feet on the floor.
Yeah.
And that eliminates a little bit of your body weight from the equation. So you're learning how to drive yourself up, use the appropriate back muscles, move as an entire plank without having any breakdowns, like you're not swaying from side to side and things like that. So doing the inverted row and gradually increasing your range of motion on the inverted row, increasing difficulty on the inverted row, will make it easier for you to mimic that upper body pulling motion on a pull-up.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's body weight is important, right? I mean, could you do the same thing with like a seated, like a cable row or a dumbbell row? Sure, but I don't think it's going to translate as well because you're in an inverted row, you're learning to move your body itself through space. What was the third one? The active hang, right? So yeah, that's where I think you can work a little bit more on specificity, right? You're training hanging from the bar with your legs off the ground, so all your body weight's in your hands. And I think this is a really important place to work your grip, right? So the grip is important. Again, I think where a lot of people go wrong on pull-ups is they kind of have a really weak fingertip kind of grip, like that cliffhanger grip.
Check our Facebook post today.
Yeah. So if you're holding on by like your fingertips on 3 fingers and trying to pull yourself up, you're making it incredibly hard. So a full grip where the bar is actually sitting right at the top of your palm is a secure one, and that's really what we're practicing with the active hang, along with learning to have like an active shoulder position. So what we mean is you're not passively hanging and letting your shoulders stretch out under load, where your elbows your shoulders end up next to your ears, but you're actively contracting your lats and your other upper back muscles and holding that position under tension. So when you initiate a pull-up, you want to be getting into that active hang position, which is what we're really practicing. So yeah, those are the 3 like foundational exercises we use. Eventually we will progress to like variations in the pull-up, but I think building a good base with these is crucial.
Like I think the way the program might go, even for the first 3 weeks, we might not even start doing any real pull-up work. We might do more like tempo work, just increasing how much time we spend under tension. Like I think we've established by this point with both the push-up and the pull-up, being able to generate a certain level of tension is what is going to translate the most, right?
Yep.
Which is why doing the pull-up without doing a complementary strength training program might not be the most effective.
Yes.
So
yeah, definitely. Like funny thing, when I was kind of first started training seriously with barbells, I could maybe do 4 or 5 pull-ups if I really pushed. Now when I started training the deadlift more seriously, I still remember quite vividly when I hit like a 120 kg deadlift. I hadn't trained pull-ups for a while. I went and tried them. I got 10 without training the pull-ups in between. Again, just generally getting stronger, learning to engage your lats even on the deadlift.
Your grip on
your
the
grip,
deadlift.
everything is going to get better. So it's going to translate very well.
Yeah, I think even at the gym with some of our women, when we find that their deadlift numbers go up, their pull-up numbers go up too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think that about covers how we are planning to train for it. If you're not able to do a pull-up, you want to, and you're not following our program yet, still not too late. You can hop onto it. It's a 6-week long program, which is the time frame we've kind of given. What do you think people can expect in 6 weeks?
I think it depends on each person's starting point. If this is somebody who's already able to do 10 push-ups for multiple sets if you're a woman and 20 push-ups for multiple sets if you're a guy, you should get to a pull-up even before 6 weeks if you're just sticking to the program, right? Because the stuff that we're doing will automatically build up. But if you're just about getting 10 push-ups, your depth is still not great, you're still working on your push-up, I think start working on the pull-up, but don't let the fact that you didn't get a pull-up by the end of 6 weeks discourage you.
Yeah.
I think all of us have different amounts of time that we take to get to the first pull-up, but once we get to the first pull-up, we'll be stuck on the first pull-up for a long time, and then we'll get to the third pull-up, and once we get to 3 pull-ups, 5 will come super easily.
Yeah.
But going from 5 to 10 will again take a long time.
Yes.
Right? Have you observed similar patterns?
Definitely. Like progress is never like linear. You'll always have these like periods of really great progress and then you'll plateau for a while. It's just part of the training process.
I think with your wife Anu,
Yeah.
when she got her first pull-up, we were just stuck on that first pull-up for so long, and we just decided to start adding in weighted pull-ups.
Right.
Even though she didn't have, like conventionally, coaches would say you have to get a certain number of pull-ups before you could do weighted pull-ups. But I think we did weighted pull-up singles with a very light weight, and that quickly made her pull-up numbers significantly higher, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say even if after 6 weeks you don't get that pull-up, you should still be measurably stronger. Obviously in like the other exercises we use, the inverted row and stuff, but you should definitely at least be able to hang on the bar for a considerable amount of time. Certainly much longer than you were able to before. Or you may be
close to a...
Exactly. You'll be somewhere on that progression chart to a pull-up. So,
well, if not anything, your back will look significantly hotter than it does right now.
Yes.
We can guarantee that.
Yeah.
Unless you eat like cake and ice cream every day.
It still might.
I mean, unless you eat, you never know.
But yeah, I think that about covers it. Anything else you wanna let the listeners know about?
No, I mean,
pull-ups?
good luck with your pull-ups. Let us know how it goes
and tag us on social media.
Tag us on social.
If you want a form check or just tag us on Instagram and we will see how it looks, give you fixes if you need it, and otherwise train the program and good luck. We will see you next week as always with the podcast.